And joining me now for a closer look at what's playing itself out on that market scene is Makwe Masilela from Makwe Fund Managers. Thank you so much for your time, Makwe. Quite an interesting picture that we are seeing there in the markets. We do have a rebound, but what's really stood out for me is, and very interesting to watch, is the Rand's resilience. Of course, we have seen it now just at around 18 Rand 60 against the US dollar, powering on, even though we did get comments from Powell basically pointing to uncertainty in the timing of interest rate cuts. What is fueling the Rand at this point?
Just starting with those comments, all it says is that the rate cut is still on the menu, and we've seen some two Fed officials the other day. They said they expected 3 cuts. The other one came and said they're expecting only 1. The US Fed is also indicating that yes, it will be appropriate sometime this year. Up until maybe we get something that indicates that it's off the menu, then I think that's when markets will start thinking otherwise, and the resilient will be something that now we might see in the markets. But currency traders are interpreting this as like they expect the US rate cuts to happen much quicker. Hence, we see the US dollar weakening, the Rand benefiting out of that, and also the Rand benefiting from firmer commodity prices, where likes of silver, copper doing okay, as the Rand, we know it's more of a commodity currency. And also don't forget our domestic issues as well. Load shedding, guys, it's no longer as bad as it used to, so people are starting to have some hopes. But yes, the risk premium when it comes to the Rand will continue to be very high, given that we're still waiting for the general election comes 29 May.
Well, talking about those commodities, are oil and gold right now the hot commodities, because we have seen them at highs that we haven't seen in a while?
Gold is benefiting, number one, from central bankers buying. Gold also benefiting from safe haven demand, given what is happening with Russia, Ukraine, and the Middle East. And the latter also helps to keep oil prices at elevated levels, because we continue to be worried about supply. And we've seen that the OPEC ministers as well didn't change their policy when it comes to output, and instead they encouraged other members that they must also comply when it comes to the output cuts.
And actually, just as we're talking about resources, I did see Implats and another platinum miner being one of the biggest gainers right now on the JSE. And I'm wondering, of course, the platinum stocks really have not had a good time. And I'm wondering if, they found a bottom at this point.
They did, and platinum price is doing great today compared to palladium. And we know there's been an issue that people were moving more into palladium, because palladium used to be much cheaper compared to platinum. So now the fact that we've seen platinum prices going down, so it's starting to make platinum itself to be more attractive.
All right. Makwe, actually, just going back to the oil and gold question, I'm wondering then, because of these highs that we are seeing now, how do you actually play those commodities to actually benefit from that? For example, with gold, do you go for the gold miners? Do you go for actual gold? In oil, do you look at Sasol, or do you look at other counters?
I prefer to go pure. We'll go pure for gold, because remember, a company will have its own dynamics. It might have high debt, stuff like that. Management might not be that effective. Oil as well, we've got exchange traded funds that you can play when it comes to oil. And also not forgetting the fact that when you look into the global manufacturing, it has been quietly going up, and also now it starts making other commodities, your copper, your oil, to be more in demand. I mean, you look into the global manufacturing, for March it has been up. You look into Q1, when it comes to manufacturing, particularly in China, it's starting to creep up. So it's giving people some hope that the global economy might be on a recovery.
All right. And I mean, just as we're talking about commodities, I will be taking a deep dive into Anglo American specifically. And we do know that quite a diversified player. It also does have a PGM holding over there. And I'm wondering, because it did have quite a terrible time last year. There were production cuts coming, and of course, they're impacted by the lower commodity prices. But seeming that there's a strategy revamp that is being done there in terms of how they allocate their capital. Do you also think that maybe that could be one of the counters benefiting from, firstly, the bottom that the PGMs have found, but also the strategy that they're currently undergoing?
Definitely, and also more important, the biggest consumer when it comes to commodities, the minute we see that that's starting to recover, that is China, that should benefit them as well because there will be some decent demand. And I think China, as it stands now, I think they need to seriously do something, given that their property sector have managed to dampen the economy. So we'll continue to expect some form of stimulus coming out of China to revive the economy.
All right. Well, talking about stimulus, quite a lot of deals have been stimulating Aspen going into healthcare. They did come out with an announcement that they have gotten final approvals for a deal that they made in China with Sandoz. And I'm just wondering, I mean, there's so many deals here that I can't even count. Do the prospects for Aspen look better because of the kind of strategy, the growth strategy that they are going for at this point, considering that there was kind of a lull after the COVID-19 vaccine boom?
You know, that banking on the fact that China will continue to grow, China continues to be the big market. But now you ask yourself that why is Sandoz selling? Because remember, they also give 4 of their products in Europe to them. So it's more of a swap kind of a thing. So now the guys probably they are not comfortable with the Chinese market for whatever reason. But Aspen, with the experience operating in Africa, South Africa, we probably think that they understand the dynamics much better and probably they see more opportunities going forward.
All right. Well, Makwe, before we head to your stock pick, let's reflect on some of the counters that have found a favor with some of your peers.
Me, I'm picking ARM, and that's not African Rainbow Minerals. That's I'm going for ARM, the semiconductor company that designs chips. And I know it listed last year. It's had a hell of a run. It's on a high PE, but I love their brilliance and I love what they do. The NVIDIAs of this world cannot exist with them. So I'm taking it as an outside bet. On an area of the market I'm still very bullish on.
Going for a mining company again, Kumba, the share price has come down a little bit. You know, hopefully all the signs are there that we will eventually see interest rate cuts and a revival in demand for commodities. The iron ore price looks also quite depressed at the moment. So it's just a turnaround story on the commodity cycle.
I'm choosing Tesla. I'm being a bit brave after the disastrous results that came out yesterday. You know, big drop, big miss by, you know, in terms of sales, big rise in inventories, which is not usually a problem for Tesla. They can usually sell whatever they make. A couple of things that I think would be, you know, would be the reasons to buy. Number one, some of the stuff that caused the drop in sales is temporary. The big thing I think is that full self-driving. Elon Musk comes out and says that every single new Tesla must be given a demonstration, a new Tesla buyer must give a demonstration of the full self-driving facilities, making me think that now we are closer than ever. Despite promises over many, many years, this might just be the year next year, this year or next year, where we do have full self-driving. And that, I think, will change the total valuation of that company.
All right, Makwe, quite interesting stocks there as we were talking about resources. Kumba Iron ore, of course, part of that Anglo American stable. And of course, it did benefit from the higher iron ore prices, but still the biggest headwind being Transnet. What do you make of Kumba Iron ore at this point as an investment case?
You know, if I have to trade on hope, then definitely I'll go for Kumba Iron ore because we are hopeful that things will turn around.
Yeah.
Prices, as much as they've dropped, they'll start picking up. And yes, if that hope comes to fruition, then definitely Kumba is one of those stocks that's worth looking at, and they're a very, very good dividend payer. But the problem here is if it doesn't materialize, then I think we'll have a problem, given that it has dipped that much.
Yeah, and you've said also before that a lot of the commodity prospects also rely on China. Let's talk about Tesla that is facing some competition in China. Of course, it had a dismal results that were out. Deliveries falling short of market expectations there. There was also an article that was out of an analyst that was saying Tesla could go bust. But we did have Viv actually yesterday, Viv Govender, picking it as his stock pick because it fell so much. How would you be playing Tesla at this point?
You know, it's understandable given that the guy's disappointed, so the prices seems to be attractive. But reality is, these are some of the companies where we think that the music is slowly, you know, coming down or given that the hype is no longer there. And yes, you know, these companies at some point, they were priced for perfection. As a result, when you get a slight disappointment, you see what happens to the share price. And, you know, with this issue of electric vehicles, I think at some point we have to be real and see whether will we have enough chargers, whether will we get the real buy-in, you know, into these electric vehicles. It is all well and good, you know, that they are okay for environment. But I think maybe we have to start digging deeper, because now the excitement is over. Let's face the facts. And I don't think they will have that kind of penetration that we thought they will have.
Well, talking about penetration, definitely AI has penetrated a lot of investors' wallets. And David Shapiro chose ARM as his stock pick yesterday, semiconductor chip designer. Of course, it did recently list, if I'm not mistaken, came from a SoftBank. What do you make of this and just the general trend of AI at this point?
A nice excitement when it comes to AI, and we know it has managed to benefit even our markets, you know, because some of those companies managed to drive the market as it is. But now the question is, are these AI things still at the trying to prove the concept, or have they already been rolled out? So we hope that if they get to be rolled out the way we think they'll be that effective, then definitely semiconductors will continue to do well. But anyway, the fortunate thing for the likes of ARM is that, you know, that those semiconductors are not just only used for AI, you know, can also be used for video, stuff like that. So they still have a nice market as well.
All right. Well, Makwe, let's get to your stock pick for this afternoon. What will it be?
I think I'm one of those who's more afraid I'm staying with cash. I think everything is overvalued, and I'm not sure if the earnings that will be coming will be that supportive to reason or be comfortable with these higher prices. So I think for now, I'd rather wait on cash, because there's a potential of some disappointment, especially given that the markets currently have been driven by central bankers. Any slight comment from any central banker can definitely take the market the other way.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time and for your analysis today, Makwe, on what is currently moving investors' money. That was your midday market update with Makwe Masilela from Makwe Fund Managers.